If you're new to this channel, my channel is not about picture perfection. So when I first showed you my balcony this year, I showed you what the garden looked like, warts and all. Now I'm going to take you on a balcony garden tour so you can see the improvements that have occurred on my garden. And I'm also going to show you what to sow in April. So let's get started. Wow, what a difference. The cloud garden is bursting with colour. And as you can see, I've made my way all the way down the garden. It's finally tidy and I finally managed to refresh some of my containers. Who would have guessed it? All my perennials have bounced right back. How much greener does it look today? This is a really important lesson because sometimes when we watch social media, a lot of gardening content creators will go and buy a whole load of spring bedding, fill it with lots of colour in January, February, and make you believe that that's what your garden should look like. Well, after 4 months, this is what my garden looks like. I've managed to achieve this by mainly using perennial plants. If you're an OG to this channel, you know that I've been away traveling across Europe and Asia for around about 5 months. This garden hadn't been watered in 5 months, and now look at it. We're going to start off right here in the shade area of the garden. I think the best place to start is Leona. Just look at her. So, fun fact, this bleeding heart was actually a weed about 3 years ago, and I just left it because I thought, what is this plant? I just wanted to see what it was, and it was half of this size. And earlier on in January, I actually thought that it was a peony that hadn't taken, so I left it just to see whether the peony was going to come back, and turns out it was Leona, and this is the largest that she's been. I am just absolutely gobsmacked at this plant. She's so beautiful. And then next to her, I've got this iris. I had this around about for 2 years now, but she's not really done anything. And finally, it seems like now that I've got a bit of shade from this building over here, she seems a lot happier. Now, down the bottom, I've got this woodland area, some saxifraga here, and I've also got some anemones. And these look so pretty. And I've already noticed I've had some pollinators up here, and this is the area that they're attracted to the most. And then over here, I've got this really beautiful viola. I really like the colouring on the leaves. And then this beautiful grass here. It's dried out, but I love the curls. It just gives such a nice bit of movement to the pot, but also just something a little bit different. We have the Brunnery here, which is in flower and looking great. And this is the red bleeding heart. She was so far behind. Now I've planted her up into this container and it's looking a hell of a lot better. So I reckon give it another couple of weeks and she will be blooming as well, which will be nice because Leona's not going to be blooming forever. So it's almost like succession sowing. Once this is done, then this one will start. The muscari, to be honest, I completely forgot that I had it. It just kind of appeared and I was like, right, okay. But the key to muscari, I think, the reason why it's come back this year is I wasn't here, so it died right back, and now it's come back even stronger. The back is slightly different, so I've moved this container. You can reconfigure it, and that's what I've done. I'm going to be growing some herbs or some veg in here, most likely lettuce. This is the shadiest part of the garden, but as you can see at the top here, I've got spinach, but the spinach is already bolting. So yeah, look, So, and all 4 of the spinach are going to go to seed. So again, when I'm thinking about what I'm going to sow in April, normally people will mention, look, if you want to start sowing, sow some lettuce in April. I'm going to give it a try. So I am going to start growing some lettuce, but I also know fully well that it's going to bolt and go to seeds just like this one. Now the herb tower is really quite bare. I was holding out hoping that some of these herbs were going to come back, but actually it just looks like they are not going to, which is fine because that means that I can seed sow. So the first plant that I advise to start sowing in April is actually coriander. So if you have a shady area in your garden and you're looking for a herb to grow, coriander is the one. I've already got some on the go here. As you can see, this side of the herb tower gets plenty of sun. This side doesn't. So I'm going to put the coriander on this side where it gets less sun. It'll be in the shade and it should still manage to thrive. Same thing with this chicory. By keeping this here, it's stopping it from bolting and going to seed. I've also been propagating lots and lots of basil, and the goal is on the sunnier side of the herb tower, I'll plant up some of this propagated basil because this will really enjoy the full sun. You can also start your Thai red basil, and again that will go on this right hand side of the herb tower as well. But the thing to remember with your basil is it is not going to like frost. You can get it started, keep it indoors. As soon as you are sure that you're not going to get a frost, then you can start to plant out your basil. Don't mind the top layer of my herb tower, it needs a bit of weeding, but on top I'm going to place some dill. Now I can actually sow these directly, but I think what I'm going to do this year is sow these indoors so that I know that they've got a good start, and then I will bring them out, harden them off, and then bring them out and pop them out and place them on the top. To be honest, I can't take full credit for the way that the garden looks. A lot of that is to do with that big old yellow thing in the sky. Now, it is so unusual for us in the UK to have this amount of sun in April. In fact, we've had 2 or 3 weeks now of intense sun at between 16 to 22 degrees Celsius, which has just brought everything alive. This is our early summer. Things have bounced back quite a bit. Let me take you over onto the sunnier side and show you what that area of the garden looks like. You guys, remember my peony from the last video? I didn't chop her back last year because I thought that she had unalived herself. But actually, there were new buds. And look, she is producing new leaves. Now, I don't know if it's going to flower this year, but, well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. At this point in April, you can pretty much get sowing with all of your veg that you want to grow. So things like courgettes, aubergines, pumpkins, squash, you can get those all started indoors with the aim to get them out by May. These are going to be my containers for my big boy tomatoes and chilies. This one is a potato plant. In my container refresh video, I showed you how to refresh your containers. So these containers have all been refreshed. They've got fresh compost layers in there, ready to be planted up. But something for container gardeners to be aware of is if you have one tomato plant, you can put one in each container and then that's it. So you can't put a whole load of other plants in there. You could maybe get away with having a tomato plant in here with maybe some marigolds, 1 or 2 for companion planting. But other than that, that's your lot. So you have to think about your space and to not oversow too many tomatoes. And in my bedroom, I've got some cosmos, I have cucumbers, melons, some of my peppers that I got a while back. I've got my nasturtiums growing up. I've got 3 different tomatoes. This one's gotten huge. I got this way too early, to be honest. But yeah, so I've got all of these plants ready to go. It's really important to not oversow, because in actual fact, in the container, you don't have too much space at all. If you haven't started to sow your peppers and your chilies yet, in April, May, you're slightly running out of time. You can still get away with it, but if it were me, I would just go to a store and pick some up. Tomatoes, you can still get away with sowing some now, especially with warmer temperatures, and they'll be just fine. They're really relatively quite quick to germinate and quite quick to grow. Peppers and chilies, they take a little bit more time. One thing I'm going to get started in this trough here is rocket. Now this will be a really useful leafy green that hopefully won't bolt as quickly as my lettuce. These have not got their first set of true leaves yet, so I'm going to let these get a little bit bigger, but then I will plant them out all along the trough. I planted out my sweet peas, and the goal is to get them to climb all the way to the top. So once these shards have finished, the melons and the cucumbers are going to go up onto this trellis. Right now is a brilliant time to start your seed sowing now for your melons and your cucumbers. So if you haven't already, I would advise getting those done, and that will be part of your vertical growing for the season. You can see just how well the jasmine is doing. But what I really wanted to show you was the passion fruit vine. So as you can see, it's looking really bare. But if you take a closer look, you'll actually find there are lots and lots and lots of buds all the way along the vine. And this plant tends to flower on the new vines. So the fact that there are so many new buds on this particular vine means that I should have an awesome floral display later on this year. Remember in the previous video I showed you this old crusty stick? Well, just look at my grapevine now. All of these beautiful new shoots. All the way to the very top actually. They normally flower in year 3. This did flower, but I didn't get any fruit last year, so I'm hoping that this will be the year that I actually get fruit from it. Here we've got the wisteria, that's also come back. Remember, this looked like some crusty old twig as well. And now look. And there are more buds to come all the way up the plant. I have got some black-eyed Susans, which will take over the trellis. I'll add in the nasturtiums to that archway as well. And then along this side, I'm going to have some more Malabar spinach. I've got some starting in my bedroom right now. Clematis is doing so well. It grows so quickly. Once it gets to this stage, that's it. You can't stop it. So the goal will be to move this to this side of the arch and let it take over that part of the archway. The reason why I have it here is so that it's closer to the window, gets more sunlight and gets tall enough, because of the chair here, with that, the chair kind of blocks the sunlight. So you can see this busy Lizzie, it will grow, but it's growing slower than this one here, and that's because it has less light. So I'm letting the clematis get as tall as possible before I then move it back over to here. Now you will notice this dreadful unsightly area. This is my struggle bus area. And I pretty much chuck anything over here and hope that it's going to come back. This is my verbena. I've been praying and praying and praying it will come back, because there was some green on it, but there comes a point where I may just have to admit defeat. But I can't pull it out. It's not just coming out, so that tells me that it's probably still alive. What I might do is chop it back and bring it to the front and let it just see if maybe it being closer to the window and getting a bit more sun, it does something. But ugh. This was a Salvia Amistad. I don't think that that's going to come back, but again, I'll chop that back and see what happens. Last year's Rudbeckia. Nope. No. Yeah, no, this is all mushy. So, okay, well, that means that I've got a spare pot. Yay! Some space for one of these guys, probably. The second of the roses, completely brown. That's died a death. So that is not coming back. These tall things were actually Rudbeckia. They've not come back, but I still got the seed heads, so I'm going to take these seed heads and then I'm going to grow these from seed. This clematis, I get, oh my gosh, no friggin' way. No way, you guys. Look at this. I'm so happy. Yay. Okay, so my second clematis has come back. Guys, this is why you need a struggle bus area. I'm so happy. Oh wait, crap. I don't know where it's gonna go. I'll figure that out. No, I hadn't planned for that to come back, so I'm gonna have to kind of rethink my plans. If you are looking for a climber to get going in April, I would suggest now starting your morning glories. They are every time. I'm a grown man. Morning glories. They are really they give you a pleasant surprise every morning. Morning glories are really great. You get morning blooms as you come out and do your morning walk. They are really quick to germinate, and then they zoom, so they should germinate within the first 6-7 days, and then they just get going like that. They'll need something to climb, so either a trellis like this or an arch if you have one, and they will just keep going until frost. They are an annual though, so just be wary of that. I dug up this geranium. It's pretty leggy, but they're really easy to propagate. So what I'm going to do is just make a cut here, just above that node. There you go. Now that will continue growing up there, so that's fine. And as for this part, I'll give it a cut here at the base. I'll probably cut this in half as well. And there you are. So I've got 3 cuttings, and the best bit about geraniums is you don't have to do anything too difficult. You just need to plunk them into soil, and that's it. And I've got some French runner beans that will climb up the arches. I've been leaving them to soak for a bit. To be honest, I completely forgot about them, so now I'm like, oh crap. Let me get them in. So yeah, I'm gonna get those sown right about now. So when I first got this Dusty Miller, it was around about this size, but now 2 years on and it's massive. It's obviously really happy. It's about to send up some blooms. These will be some really pretty yellow blooms, but it's just completely taking over the arch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig it up, move it into one of the containers over there, and then that will give me some room to actually make sure I've got plants to grow up the archway. Well, that was easier said than done because I don't know what I was expecting. 3 years. It would make sense that, yeah, she does not want to leave. It's been a week or so since I put these out, and yeah, they're pretty much anchored in now, and they've just continued growing. But again, for your window boxes, now you want to get your petunias, lobelia. If you haven't done your nasturtiums already, get your nasturtiums going, and you can start growing your salvia from seed now as well. Obviously, keep everything indoors, bring them out in May, and that way you can start to have plants that will fill up your window baskets. And look at her in her new spot. And I paired her up with this really pretty viola. How gorgeous is that? I love the contrast between the black and white, or the black and silver. This is a heavenly blue. She's going to send up a whole ton of blue spikes. And the brazen hussy underneath. Look at her go! She's so awesome. She was tiny when I last showed you her, and now she's just gosh. As you can see, my spring bulbs are looking a bit tired, but right now is the time for you to plant your summer bulbs. What you can do is start to grow some gladioli. Now for me, I don't know why, but mine have come back with a vengeance this year. These ones didn't flower at all last year actually, so it'll be interesting to see what happens this year. And if we look a little bit closer through all of this jungle here, this is Vinca. I really love Vinca, but it just looks so messy, and she just grows and just does whatever she wants. She's so annoying, but she does throw up these pretty little flowers. Anyway, if you look really closely, you'll see that these gladioli have cropped up from last year. It seems to have multiplied. Oh my gosh, look at this one. Look how thick this is. Goodness gracious. So there's 1, 2. Oh, look. Wow. Okay, another one, and there's more coming up. Okay, this pot is going to be insane. Especially with this giant lupin. Wow. Now I'm going to be trying this Agapanthus White Superior, and if we look at the back, you'll be able to see there's a little bit of new growth in there. So as part of my summer bulbs, this is what I'll be trying. And now it's also a really great time to start your dahlias. Now, I don't really focus too much on dahlias here because on my garden they just seem to attract a whole load of aphids every single time. But this was the Agapanthus and the next plant were £5, so I thought let me just give this a go, and I've not really made a loss. You can see it's got some growth on it already, so I know that this is alive. I'm also going to try growing from seed just to see if I can manage to do it, but I've never had success growing from seed. I have a whole video on Echinacea. Once again, I never have any luck growing from seed, but I do have some bare root plants. I much prefer growing from bare root, and once again I've got a video, I'll tag that below, on how to grow bare root Echinacea. Believe it or not, this twig was my delphinium. It's here in the struggle bus area. I've been hoping that it was going to come back, but it just is doing nothing. But right now you could be sowing some delphiniums and larkspur, and if you have an area that's got dappled sunlight, so partial shade, you can put your delphiniums there and they should bring you a little bit of colour in what could be a boring area. My favourite variety of marigolds are Naughty Marietta. These grow into huge bushes and they just produce so many flowers. They're really gorgeous. So what I would probably plan to do is put one of these in a container as close to my tomatoes and peppers as possible to bring those pollinators in and act as a companion plant for my fruit. I'm a little bit behind, but right now I'm going to start to sow some snapdragons, and on this garden, because of the glass, they are normally perennials for me. So most people grow these as an annual and then they die off after frost, but because of this extra protection from the glass up here, snapdragons for me will grow the following year. It's just obviously I was away last year, so they've died completely. The rosebush is coming back to life. Yes, come on. This is part of the problem, is finding vine weevils. This one's just at its last stage before it turns into an adult. But the vine weevils are everywhere in my larger containers. So in my last video, you saw these accidentally fall into the basket. Until I've treated the containers at the front, there's no point in planting them up. And this happens to be some form of dandelion variant. It seems to be going crazy in this container, but underneath it there is actually another salvia. There he is. So the salvia is coming back. Let's have a look and see what else is under here. I think it's just the salvia that's come back from this container. Everything else, the heuchera, aquilegia, everything else seems to have been eaten by the vine weevils. So yes, next week my goal is to get the nematodes in and sort out all of these containers, because once I've done that, I can then start to put in these perennials here. What a difference 4 months has made from January up until now. The garden is looking so much better, and once I've administered the nematodes and I'm able to plant out the rest of those perennials that accidentally fell in my basket in the last video, this garden is going to just go to the next level. I cannot wait to show you what this garden looks like in May. I hope you found this useful, and hopefully I will see you all again very soon. Bye!